Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CarolinaCast podcast, college basketball edition. It is the second episode of the college basketball edition, the third episode of season 3 for the CarolinaCast podcast. How's everyone doing? Good to see you all. And remember, we are on the road to 2,000 subscribers. Smash that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. But in the meantime, welcome to the podcast. I don't know if I said that there would be special guest last podcast for the national edition, but there won't be for today. It'll just be me. But definitely for the next national edition podcast, we will have special guests on the CarolinaCast. But either way, I'm really excited to be here with you guys once again. A lot of things happen in this week of college basketball. Week 16. Rankings changed. The poll moved up and down. We have our first ranked matchup of the night, Iowa State and Houston, going on as we speak. By the way, reminder, this episode is recorded on Monday. It will be uploaded Tuesday. So once you're watching this on Tuesday, know that the Iowa State-Houston game will have already happened. Okay. So now, let's get into our topics for today. We're going to do a lot of similar stuff to what we did last time. But first, I think I'm going to start out with my AP poll, with my personal AP poll for week 16. So, as the committee has it right now, I think most of the teams they have, they're deserving. Personally, I would put TCU in the top 25 instead of Florida. I think that's really the only change I would make, but other than that, I think all the right teams are in the AP poll. But let's get ahead with my poll. Okay, so number 1, I'm still going with Connecticut, obviously. They proved me wrong. They beat Marquette, a big win for them. They're easily the best team in college basketball. They're better than the team that won Madness last year, and they're probably going to win the tournament again. Let's just be honest. I get we want a Cinderella story, but I think Connecticut's definitely got Madness in their hands right now. But anything can happen as we're still only in February. Number 2, Houston. I agree with that too. I think Purdue should have moved down to 3. They lost to an unranked Ohio State team that has 11 losses. That's for sure good enough to move you down 1. So, and yes, Houston went undefeated this week, and they're currently beating Iowa State right now. We'll see how that game shapes up, though. And then number 3, Purdue. So, yes, that's also correct. I mean, I get they lost to Ohio State, but still, Purdue shouldn't move mountains all the way down. Still, just moving 1 spot is perfectly fine. Number 4, Arizona. I agree with that as well. Arizona has 20 wins, only 5 losses. Again, went undefeated. Yes, they are in the weakest conference in college basketball in the Pac-12. And I agree with Washington being ranked, but I'll get to that later. But so their next game, though, is a very important game on Thursday against Washington. I agree with them being ranked, but we'll get to that later soon. And then Tennessee at 5. Now, this is this is questionable. I mean, they did have 2 blowout wins. For the sake that Marquette got blown out by Connecticut, if it was a closer game, I'd say Marquette deserves to be number 5. But actually, I'm going to say Tennessee does deserve to be number 5. 2 blowout wins. I get Arkansas, Vanderbilt, lackluster teams, but still, blowout wins are blowout wins. Undefeated week. Yeah, Tennessee still got 19 wins, so they do deserve to be number 5. Number 6, Iowa State. Actually, you know what? I'm going to say Iowa State actually deserves to be number 5. I switched my mind. Iowa State number 5, Tennessee number 6. Yeah, Iowa State a better conference. They also went undefeated and both had 10 plus or double-digit wins. So, or not double-digit wins, but 10 plus. Double-digit both. No, my bad. The Iowa State-Texas Tech was not a double-digit game, but Iowa State versus Cincinnati was a double-digit win. So they both had Iowa State had 2 wins with where they won by 8 plus. So yeah, they should be number 5. Still a really good team, but I think Iowa State was also set up with a lot of expectations right now because they're playing Houston, which is well-deserved. But for sure, they should be a top 5 team right now. Even if they lose to Houston, then they'll probably – I don't think they should move out of the top 10. Still should be in the top 10. But, it's the committee, and they do love Duke, Kansas Carolina. Number 7, Marquette. I do agree with that too. The Big East is a very tough conference. That's the second toughest conference in my opinion. And I mean, a really bad loss to Connecticut on their resume, but still they picked up a win this week regardless against Butler. I mean, it was a little bit in contention, but they were able to pull away. But so I'm going to say Marquette still deserves to be number 7. Duke at number 8. I mean, I don't hate it. I think that's the right call, except maybe I think actually Baylor should be at number 8. It's a little bit of a hot take, but Baylor's a better team in my opinion. I mean, I get that they lost to Kansas, but still, or I don't. Yeah, that's the tricky part actually. Baylor's a better team than Duke, but Kansas also lost this week. So and it was a blowout loss. For the AP poll purposes, I'm actually going to say that Duke does deserve to be number 8. I really do think Baylor's better than them, but at the same time, Baylor lost to Kansas and has less wins than both Duke, Kansas, and Carolina. So Duke at 8, yeah. Kansas at 9, yes. And then Carolina at 10, also a yes. They lost too, but they also had a standout win against Virginia Tech. So, yeah, Carolina still deserves to be in the top 10, but some really bad losses have won in their favor yet. Duke going undefeated this week. Baylor for sure is number 11, no doubt about it. Yeah, they lost to Kansas by 3, but still a really good squad. Outside of the Kansas game, haven't lost a game yet in February. Now, Illinois. I mean, I think the only reason why Duke's ranked higher than Carolina is because they still have the same amount of They have the same amount of wins, and Duke has 5 losses. Carolina has 6. I get Carolina beat Duke, but still, win-loss does play a huge factor. So yeah, I'm gonna say that's also the right call because I want to debate Baylor being above Duke, but I just can't right now because their resume isn't better than Kansas's, and they lost to them as well. So. And then Illinois at number 12. I would agree with that too. I think they need a Big Ten team in the top 12 always, and why not have 2? Illinois two big wins this week. I mean, a close one against Maryland, but they were still able to pull it out. So yeah, the Illini does deserve to be number 12. As you know, Alabama had a bad loss to Auburn not last week, but 2 weeks ago. So that is why they're below Illinois. And also, Alabama has less wins than Illinois. They have 18. Illinois has 19. So, yeah, Bama at 12. I personally disagree. I mean, yeah, I can see that because Auburn just lost to Kentucky, which is fair. But still, I get it's a blowout loss at Neville Arena, which is a really, really bad look, but still, I think Auburn could potentially pick up a W against Tennessee in next week, not this week. But personally, in my opinion, Auburn did beat them. They have more wins. I would say give it to Auburn right now ahead of Alabama in the rankings, but it is what it is. It's 13-14, so not a huge factor right now. Creighton at number 15. I do agree with that. I think the Creighton loves needs. Or you know what? Actually, I'm gonna say Creighton above Alabama and Auburn, and then Auburn and then Alabama. I think Creighton deserves some love at number 13. Really good team in the Big East. They're the third best team in that conference. It's a better conference than the SEC. And Auburn, Alabama, those are the other 2 better teams in the SEC. So outside of Tennessee, but I mean, still, Big East is a better conference than the SEC, and I think Auburn, Alabama are roughly just as good as each other. So, in my opinion, give it a Creighton right now at number 13. Then flex Bama to 15 and Auburn to 14. And then number 16, Dayton. I mean, yes, they're still winning. They're still in the lead for the A10, but my Loyola Ramblers are right behind their tail. So I would actually put Kentucky, they moved up 5 spots, but still, they just blew out Auburn at Neville Arena. That's been unheard of, the past 2 seasons. So yeah, put Kentucky over Dayton. I get you want the blue. You don't want the blue blood always succeeding, but still, in my opinion, this is completely unbiased. I would say put Kentucky at 16 and Dayton at 17. St. Mary Catholic, yes, or St. Mary's for sure. They should be, or is it St. Mary's Christian? I'm not sure. Either way, SMC, St. Mary's for sure deserves to be in the rankings 100%. They lead the West Coast Conference right now. They're 12-0 in conference play, so yeah, 18 is the right spot for them. And then you have San Diego State, who leads their conference in the Mountain West. This is the controversial part. Yeah, San Diego State went 2-0 this week, and I get Colorado State's ranked, but I mean, I still don't think San Diego State should be ranked all this high. And Colorado State, I don't see their case of being number 22. Let me see. I mean, they've been solid in conference play. Oh yeah, they beat San Diego State. That's why then. And then they were also they nearly beat St. Mary's. So okay, that makes more sense. And they beat Creighton earlier. Okay, this makes sense now. So yeah, Colorado State does deserve to be ranked for sure. But they're an inconsistent team, so I'm gonna say they're not. I don't know. I'm not gonna say San Diego State just for blowing out Colorado State makes them number 19. I would still give it to South Carolina just because they play in a better conference. I get South Carolina got blown out by Auburn at Neville, and then Kentucky did the same thing. But I mean, keep in mind, South Carolina is still a really good team, though. It's just a really bad loss on their part. Like, keep in mind, they've beat Tennessee. Georgia beat South Carolina earlier. That was great as a Georgia basketball fan. But then they got our number back on the 3rd of February. So, but that was like peak Georgia basketball. But still, they beat Kentucky and they beat Tennessee, so I would still say South Carolina is better than San Diego State. So then I would say San Diego State at 20, South Carolina at 19, and then Washington State at 21. Let me see this. I was about to get to Washington State. Yeah, they're second in conference play. I think the Pac-12 does need 2 top 25 teams. Like, if they're 11-4 in conference play and they have 20 wins, yeah, they do deserve to be ranked. Like, I get the Pac-12 is a terrible conference, but still, like, it's a Power 6 conference, so I do think they deserve to have 2 teams ranked. And Washington State, 2 blowout wins this week, went undefeated. I'm gonna say that they stay above Colorado State. I would say Colorado State takes number 22. And then Texas Tech, I do agree with being ranked. They lost to Iowa State, but they did beat Kansas. Huge win by them. So that definitely Texas Tech deserves to be number 23. And then Florida, like I said, should not be ranked. I would say TCU should actually be ranked instead of Florida. They struggled against Georgia. Georgia is not a good basketball program. TCU plays in a really good conference. They've lost some bad games, but they kept it close with Kansas. They beat Oklahoma. They beat Houston. So like these are legit wins that TCU has. They beat Baylor in overtime. So they for sure should be the number 25 or my bad. They should for sure be the number 24 team, and then BYU at number 25. Yes, I agree with that. So that's pretty much a wrap on the AP poll for this week. So let me repeat my list again. UConn at number 1, Houston at number 2, Purdue at number 3, Arizona at number 4, Tennessee at number 5, or Iowa State at number 5, Tennessee at number 6, Marquette at number 7, Duke at number 8, Kansas at number 9, UNC at 10, Baylor at 11, Illinois at 12, Creighton at 13, Auburn at 14, Alabama at 15, Kentucky at 16, Dayton at 17, St. Mary's at 18, South Carolina at 19, San Diego State at 20, Washington State at 21, Colorado State at 22, Texas Tech at 23, TCU at 24, and Baylor at 25. So that's that. And then, so those are my rankings for the AP poll, but I don't think the committee got anything terribly bad this week outside of maybe Dayton, Kentucky, but that's not even terrible. Dayton does have 3 more wins than Kentucky. So that's my AP poll. When I come back, I'll talk about some key matchups, and then to end the podcast off, I'll give you my surprise teams of the week. Okay? Sounds good. And then you know what? Since I'm by myself for fun, we'll just look at the Joe Lunardi's bracketology. Okay. All right. We'll be back. We'll be back momentarily. You're watching the pre-recorded CarolinaCast podcast. See you soon. All right, we are back. Let's look at the marquee matchups. I'm trying to look at what college basketball game day is. What is college basketball game day? Week 16. All right, game day is going to be kind of confused. Let me see. I gotta see this. It's not showing for me what the game day game will be. But let me check college game day Twitter. All right. Ladies basketball is going to Blacksburg Vatech for UNC Carolina. So let me see what they say for us. Oh, whoopsie. College game day. Oh, I can't find it. Okay. All right. So they're going to go to. All right, that makes sense. Okay, they're going to Storrs, Connecticut for Villanova, UConn this week. All right, so that does make sense. All right, marquee matchups, let's go. Well, Iowa State, Houston right now, that's a blowout right now. Houston winning by 11, and Javier Francis at the free throw line right now. So I'm not going to cover that game, but I do think Houston's going to win big margin there as it's looking. Creighton versus UConn. This is interesting for this week. UConn, I will say they still win. Maybe Creighton puts up a better fight than Marquette, considering it is at CHI Health Center in Omaha. It's in Omaha, so yeah, Creighton will probably put up a better fight than Connecticut. I mean, not than Connecticut, than Marquette. So, but I'm still going to say Connecticut wins that one. Baylor versus BYU. This is interesting too. This is for sure a game that Baylor can lose. Keep in mind that it's in Provo, Utah, so BYU is at home for this. They are favored in this too by the matchup predictor. I want to pick the BYU upset, but they are a really inconsistent team. I mean, they just lost to Oklahoma State. They lost to Oklahoma last week or 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to say Baylor picks up the W, but they could for sure lose that game. Tennessee, Missouri is interesting. Not really, but because Missouri is 8-17 this year, so Tennessee for sure will win that one. TCU, Texas Tech, 2 ranked teams for me at least. I think that's an interesting one as well. Texas Tech is favored in this one. It's at Lubbock. So I think the Raiders or the Red Raiders are for sure favored at Lubbock in this one. But, Emmanuel Miller, TCU, it's a really good squad. Screw it, I'm going to pick TCU, actually. I mean, both have the same record. I get it's in Lubbock, but, I mean, sometimes, at times, home field doesn't play a massive advantage. Even though Texas Tech has a 13-1 record at home this year, I'm still going to say that TCU picks up the W in Lubbock. And then San Diego State, Utah State, that's also an interesting one. Utah State is 21-5 this year. I'm going to say, I could definitely see them upsetting San Diego State. I think I'm going to go with the upset, especially considering the factor that it's at Logan. It's in Logan, Utah. So I'm going to say Utah State picks up the W, upsets San Diego State, and we'll see where they fall later on in the rankings. St. Mary's will pick up the W against San Francisco, and that's pretty much it for Tuesday. For Wednesday, Illinois, Penn State, no-brainer. I'm going to go with Illinois, even though it is at University Park. Duke, Miami, this is also an interesting one. Miami hasn't been great this year. Duke has high praise right now, but there is a time in the season a lot where the Blue Devils get hot. I get this game's at Coral Gables, but I'm going to still go with the Blue Devils. So the Blue Devils pick up the W there. Florida, Alabama, this one's interesting too. Two ranked teams, but since it's in Tuscaloosa, I think Alabama's actually going to blow out Florida here, knock them out of the rankings. George Mason, Dayton, I want George Mason to win because they win this game. They go in with high praise, and then they come play Loyola, and they get absolutely smacked. That's what I want. So, but either way, it's at Fairfax. It's in Fairfax, Virginia. So, George Mason has the advantage, but I'm gonna say, realistically, I think Dayton's going to have to win that one. Marquette, DePaul, that's easily Marquette. That's a no-brainer. DePaul's the worst team in Power 6 play. Kentucky, LSU, I'm going to say Kentucky picks up the W on the road, actually. I get Louisiana State isn't bad this year. It's in Baton Rouge. I'm going to still go with the Wildcats to win. I think they're also hot at the right time. Them and the Blue Devils, they're teams to watch out for these next 2 weeks. Colorado State, New Mexico, both have the same record. So this is really interesting play this week for the Mountain West. But I'm actually going to say Colorado State, I'm going to say they pick up the W. They've had a lot of hard-fought games that they have won this year. I get it's at the Pit, but I'm going to still go – it's in Albuquerque, but I'm going to still go with Colorado State to win this one. I think it's a big win that they get. So, yeah, Utah State's also not ranked because Colorado State blew them out this week, but San Diego State blew Colorado State out. But either way, I'm going to say Colorado State wins this one, and it's going to shake some things up about the Mountain West and potentially leave San Diego State unranked. Rutgers, Purdue, I think that's just a bad loss that Purdue had against Ohio State. I'm gonna pick them to beat Rutgers. I get Rutgers is good for them, set for their own standards this year, but still giving Purdue the hand here. Washington State, Arizona. There's not really a world where Washington State upsets Arizona, especially at Tucson at the McHale Center. Yeah, give me Caleb Love, give me the Wildcats, give me Arizona to win this one and move possibly even higher in the AP poll for Week 17. Friday, there's no ranked games, and then Saturday, big boy Saturday, Auburn, Georgia. I'll just give you quick predictions and then the head-to-head ranked matchups. I'll tell you my honest. I'll give a little breakdown. Auburn, Georgia. I get it's in Athens, but I'm going to have to go with Auburn, sadly. Houston, Baylor, this is interesting. I think this is going to be a better game than Houston, Kansas, actually, that we had at Allen Fieldhouse, especially considering the fact that this is in Waco. So, this is a tough one to pick, really. But I know I picked Baylor to beat BYU. So I'm actually going to say Baylor goes undefeated this week. I'm going to say they go ahead and they beat Houston at home. So that, I guess you could say that's my hot take of the week. And maybe Baylor's one of my surprise teams. So we'll see about that. Florida, Vanderbilt, easily Florida I'm going with. Arizona, Washington, easily Arizona. Iowa State, West Virginia, easily Iowa State. Duke, Wake Forest, Duke, obviously Duke. BYU versus Kansas State. This is a little bit tricky. I don't think BYU loses 2 games this week. I think they're going to fight hard against Baylor. So, I mean, I could see them losing this game, but I still have them winning. Iowa, Illinois, this is actually kind of interesting. This is definitely a game that Iowa could win, but I'm going to go for the hot take here too. I'm going to say Iowa beats Illinois. Illinois lost to Michigan State 2 weeks ago. I get Iowa only has a 12% chance. I'm rethinking things. This is at the State Farm Center, so this isn't like BYU, Kansas State, where it's at the Bramlage Coliseum in Manhattan. So I'm gonna stick with Illinois. I'm not gonna trust my gut there. I'm just gonna go with Illinois. I mean, I could see Kansas State beating BYU, but I just don't think it'll happen. It could definitely happen, but I personally just don't see it right now. South Carolina versus Ole Miss. I'm actually gonna go with the upset here. I will say that Ole Miss, they're favored to win. So I don't know if that's technically an upset, but I still think it is. I'm gonna say Ole Miss wins at the Pavilion in Oxford. Okay, North Carolina versus Virginia. This is interesting. North Carolina's been rocky, but Virginia has been terrible. They just lost to Virginia Tech 75-41 this week. I think this is a standout win for the Tar Heels. I get it's at JPJ in Charlottesville, but I'm for sure going with Carolina. I think this is going to be a huge win for the Tar Heels. And vote. By the way, that's our one of our games that we could potentially broadcast. There's only about an hour left, so vote which game you want to see. Do you want to see Celtics versus Knicks or North Carolina versus Virginia? As it's shaping out right now, I think we'd probably do Celtics-Knicks. It's just going to be a better game, but either way, go vote if you want to see North Carolina, Virginia broadcast that bad. I will probably most likely be featured on that. Alabama, Kentucky, I'm going to say this is also difficult, but I'm actually going to say, like I said, I mean, the Wildcats can get hot, man. I'm going to say they win at Rupp Arena, and I think this is a standout win. I think Bama shows a fight, but I think Kentucky's probably going to pull away in the final 10 minutes. So I'm going to say the Wildcats beat Bama. Texas Tech, UCF. I'm going to go with a hot take here. Oh, they're also favored to win. So it's in Orlando. It's at Edition Financial Arena. I'm going to say UCF beats Texas Tech here, and potentially Texas Tech falls out of the rankings. Texas, Kansas. I'm going to say the Jayhawks pick up a big win here. I think Texas is a pretender this year. They have 9 losses. And it's also at Allen Fieldhouse. Kansas hasn't lost a game yet this season there. So, let me go with Kansas. Now the game day, I don't even have to think about this. Villanova's not the same team as they used to be. It's easily UConn that's going to win this game. Texas A&M and Tennessee. Now, I do understand this is at Thompson-Boling in Knoxville, but, I mean, A&M has been a tricky team this year, and they've already beat Tennessee at their own house. Literally 2 weeks ago. So this is actually tricky. I mean, Tennessee does have a loss at their own home. They lost to who did they lose to? They lost to South Carolina at their own home. I think I'm actually going to go with Texas A&M to win this game. Wow. I can't believe I said that, but I'm going to go with the Aggies to win this game. Texas A&M picks the dub in Knoxville, so, I mean, the matchup predictor does not like that one bit, but I will go with A&M. Washington State, Arizona State, I'm definitely going Washington State there. They get a bounce back win after losing big to Arizona. Colorado State versus UNLV, I will also say Colorado State wins that one. And San Diego, St. Mary's, I'm going to say St. Mary's wins that one. San Diego State, Fresno State, I'm going to say, Fresno State is not good. Maybe the Paul George luck prevails, but it won't. Yeah, Jaden Ledee, absolute stud, averaging 20 points a game, 73.3 from the free throw line, 56 from the field. Yeah, I'm going to say San Diego State picks the dub up, even though they're on the road. So when I come back, I'll talk about my surprise team. So those are my marquee matchups for the week. And then when we come back, I'll talk about my surprise teams. And lastly, we'll look at the Lunardi's bracketology, and I'll give you any insight that I have. I mean, I typically don't like to look at bracketology this early, but I'll just look at it because for you guys. All right, we'll see you soon. All right. So I guess my surprise teams, I'll just get it away with here. My 3 surprise teams of the week. All right, let's go. Okay, so number 1, I'm going to say Baylor. I get they're the number 11 team, but here's the thing. This has just been a really, really solid team. They've had some bad losses. They lost to Kansas. They lost to Texas. They lost to TCU. I mean, there's been some bad losses from this Baylor team. But you know what? I think they are a scary team potentially in March. I think this team can win the Big 12 in tournament play, not conference play. I think that's for sure up for grabs between Iowa State and Houston. But, I mean, this Baylor and Kansas, I don't think they're going to win in conference play. I'm not sure about that. Houston's been on a tear, but I mean, they still have a chance in conference play, actually, but I do think this team could seriously win the Big 12 tournament. So I'm going to say Baylor goes out there. BYU puts up a good fight against them, but they do pull out the win. I mean, I love this Baylor defense. I mean, Baylor, they've always been known for that street ball typical defense. And they're a great team too. So, but even though BYU's favored in that game, I'm going to say Baylor wins that one. And I do say at 11 on Saturday, they beat Houston. I'm going to say it right here. It's in Waco. I'm going to say they beat the Houston Cougars. I get Houston's absolutely killing Iowa State right now, and they're going to win in conference play. But I'm going to say Baylor gets the win. So call me crazy, but give me Baylor. As a surprise team, going undefeated this week, definitely moving up in the rankings. And then for my next 2 surprise teams, I'm going to say both Colorado State and not San Diego State, but Colorado State for sure. Colorado State, you see here, they're 8-5 in conference play. San Diego State is 9-4. So Colorado State, I'm seeing them move up a lot in the rankings this week. They pick up 2 wins, both road wins this week, actually. One against New Mexico, one against UNLV. So I'm going to say Colorado State picks up both wins there. They have a solid defense. They got a solid offense. Team led by Isaiah Stevens, Nick Clifford. Isaiah Stevens, he's great at facilitating the ball out, averaging 16 points a game as well. Nick Clifford grabbing 7 boards a game, 6 defensively. He's a great defender, great rim protector. So I'm going to say Colorado State picks up a dub, and I'm going to say Colorado State, they're 1 game out of taking the lead in the Mountain West Conference. So I'm going to say they potentially take the lead in the Mountain West Conference this week. We'll see how things shake up. And then lastly, for my last surprise team, I'm going to say South Carolina. Because, I'm going to say South Carolina loses their 1 game this week. I'm going to say they lose to the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss is favored in this game. It's in Oxford at the Pavilion. So I'm going to go with the Rebels to win that one. They're South Carolina's number 1 scorer, Mackie Johnson. He's only putting up 14 a night versus Matthew Morrell, who's putting up 17 a night. BJ Mack, a good rebounder. The South Carolina team's potent offensively, but recently speaking, they really haven't been. They didn't score more than 63 points They didn't score more than 63 points last week in both of their games. They lost to LSU and Auburn. And I mean, they haven't scored more than 76 in the month of February. So, I mean, for extremely potent offense, they're not looking good right now. This is a down time for South Carolina. I get they're a good team, but they're not looking on the ups right now. So I'm going to say they actually do lose to Ole Miss this week, and they drop pretty dramatically or drastically in the rankings. So I mean, I get they're already at number 20. They're gonna drop even further. So that's my take there. So those are my 3 surprise teams. And lastly, let's go to some bracketology. All right. Joe Lunardi bracketology. Waiting for this to load. All right, one second. Let me stop sharing since I have the website pulled up. Okay, there we go. All right, so the first top overall seed, Purdue. I'm not sure if this is this updated? It's updated, yeah, as late as February 16th. Okay, so he hasn't really updated it yet. Okay, top overall seed, Purdue. At this time, yeah, they probably were, but I would still say Connecticut even at this time. Last team in Gonzaga. Yeah, Zaga's got to make the tournament. I mean, they're not horrible. They're just not as good as they have been this year. And St. Mary's has been dominating. First team out, Wake Forest. I see that. They're in the ACC. ACC is a little bit on the weaker side, but they're not that great this year. I mean, they've had some impressive wins. They've been on the lookout, but they're not anything crazy good. Last 4 byes: Butler, Boise State, TCU, Nebraska. I can respect this. I think Nebraska is going to do really well in the Big Ten tournament. And Butler's always provided a good program. TCU, like I said, I think they're one of the most underrated teams in the country right now. Boise State, I'm not so sure about. Last 4 in Ole Miss, yeah, they have I'm saying they pick up a big win against South Carolina this week. So Nevada, yeah, I haven't watched much Nevada basketball, if I'm going to be honest. Utah, yeah, I see that. Gonzaga, too. I mean, 3 Pac-12 teams, but it is what it is. Wake Forest out, Providence out, Seton Hall. I mean, these 2 could make it depending on how they do in Big East tournament play, but right now, yeah, I could see that. Cincinnati out, probably. I mean, they've got some bad losses. It's going to be tough for them to make the tournament. Next 4 out: St. John's, yeah, definitely. Villanova, yes. Colorado, yes. And Memphis, yes, for sure. Unless if Memphis does like insanely well in the American tournament. Okay, the 68 team bracket, moved up, moved down. Okay, here are the first here are the first couple match, or here's the first 8. Okay, Merrimack versus NC Central, or the first 4, I guess, technically. NC Central. I gotta see this. NC Central confused me for a second, but okay, so that's interesting. My page needs to load. All right, here we go. Nevada versus Utah. Okay, East Kentucky versus North Dakota. I'm going to say Ole Miss definitely beats Gonzaga, which is interesting. Watching Gonzaga lose, that'd be crazy. Okay, here's the tournament. Purdue, that's an easy win for them. I mean, unless if FDU happens again, all over again. Texas A&M. Ooh, the matchup between Texas. Mind you, this is updated on February 16th, and also this will be uploaded on February 20th. So, like, Iowa State is probably going to lose this game, or they could come back by the time this is uploaded. And mind you, Virginia just got blown out by Virginia Tech, too. So, San Diego State, Appalachian State, okay. Creighton, UNC Wilmington. So, let me go to the seedings. Conference breakdown. Big 12, 9. SEC, 9. Okay, I like this. Big East at 4, that is questionable. I think the Big East should have a good amount of teams in the tournament this year. Like I said, Providence and Seton Hall could definitely make it. ACC 4, that's also, I could see it, but that's still questionable. The American 2, yeah, sure. Pac-12 3, that's also questionable. The Big Ten at 6, they always love Big Ten basketball, and they do love Mountain West basketball recently too. So, Kansas had a 2 seed. So, mind you, remember, uploaded on February 16th. These two are not going to be 2 seeds anymore in the newest bracketology, I assure you. Auburn had a 3 seed. Wisco had a 4. Yeah, Wisco's for sure not going to be at a 4 seed. Yeah, Wisconsin's not going to be ranked. They're not even ranked this week. Florida 8. They're going to probably move higher in the new bracketology. Yeah, this is all interesting. Purdue and Kentucky in the same bracket. That would be cool. And Tennessee. I would love that. And Iowa State. Wow. That would be awesome. This one, I'm not as big of a fan for the West bracket. It's got some good teams down here though. Kansas and Duke in the same bracket. That'd be fun. This one, not also the greatest fan of this either. Kind of a more boring side. North Carolina, Michigan State, South Carolina, Illinois, Larry Bird, Terre Haute, Indiana State, BYU, Northwestern Virginia, UConn. Yeah, this is interesting too. I like the Midwest the most though. I mean, you got Purdue, you got San Diego State, you got Creighton, you got Kentucky, you got Iowa State. That's a really nice bracket. And Tennessee, that would be a fun bracket. But that's probably not going to happen. So that'll pretty much do it. Remember, smash the subscribe button. Road to 2,000 subscribers. You were watching the College Basketball Edition podcast. Our Twitter, CarolinaCast_15. Instagram and TikTok at CarolinaCast Sports. So we will see you later. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Make sure you vote in the polls. Celtics versus Knicks, or UNC versus Virginia for broadcasting this weekend. I'm Marcus Giretti. We'll see you later. Have a great Tuesday, folks. We'll see you our next time.